Yeah, they said we have to go down across the bridge and over, because if we go left, there's like a crazy super thin part.
Probably icy.
Yeah, super slanty and falls into the creek.
Sounds nice. Looks like we're gonna have to do that. They're like 70 years old doing some parkour, hardcore parkour. That was sick. I'm doing the double set, dude.
Oh, I was like, is he about to do it?
What's up, guys? I'm Henry Gartland. We're at Minnehaha Falls in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where I grew up. Pretty cold here, so welcome to Minnesota. Action. I am E. Henry Gartland, and I am from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
I really think skateboarding saved Henry's life, you know, in a very, very real way.
There's a bunch of messed up stuff in my family that I wasn't around for because I was skateboarding.
The next door neighbor at his mom's house had a boy who was having a birthday party, but it was a skateboard party. So there was a little skate park at the community park. Henry was like 8, and I dropped him off and came back, and the mom was like picking up the wrapping from presents, and I said, "Hey, where's Henry?" And she's like, "He's up at the park skating," because he skipped the whole party. He's been up there since you dropped him off.
There was a mini ramp, and I didn't know what dropping in was. I didn't really know anything about skating, so I just tried to roll into the mini ramp and just slammed.
And so I walk up the hill, and he sees me, and he runs over, and he's covered in blood. I mean, elbows, knees, covered in blood. He had learned to drop in, right? So he's like, "You gotta check this out." And so he dropped in and showed me, and that was it. It was on. So we got on the computer, and we found Third Layer, and the next weekend we went, and for about a year, it was just kind of every Saturday.
Ah, Ty! My G. Gigi. I keep my board here because if I leave it in my car overnight, the bushings will freeze and break, and Kingpin will break. They'll stay warm in here overnight.
The Twin Cities has a long tradition of having some really talented skaters. I think each generation that comes feeds off the generation that was in front of them, and they just keep ratcheting it up. So yeah, we've got some great momentum.
Well, I've known Henry, I would say probably 7 or 8 years for sure, ever since he started coming down here. One thing that's different about Henry in my eyes, one, he's really loud and has a temper, and with all that, he has a lot of heart.
I met him at the Zoomies Best Foot Forward finals in Seattle. And I was like, who the fuck is this crazy ass fool? Like, he just was like the most like hyped up. He was young at the time, so he had a lot of energy. And I was like, this kid is a little too much high energy for me. I don't know, this kid needs to just like relax a little bit. But now that I've got to know him, that's just who he is. Like, he's still crazy as shit, as you can see in his skating.
In terms of like the average trajectory of a quote unquote third layer kid, Henry was, we considered him kind of a late bloomer. He didn't necessarily come off like he had the most natural talent, like some of the kids that we would see. Like Henry was the kind of kid who, he worked for everything, but he worked overtime, you know, when other people weren't skating, he was.
In a short period of time, like he just really progressed unlike any other kid that I've really seen around these parts, you know?
Rolling away right here. Favorite way to leave the park.
That skate park became like his home away from home. I mean, it's his family up there. And then after a year, he did the first King of the Groms. And he, you know, we didn't know how good he was. We signed him up for beginner, and he finished like 4th, I think, in street. And like, I didn't even know what that really meant at the time. And he got his awards, and he walked back over to me, and he's like, "Hey, Dad, I need to start coming here every day now." And I kind of looked at him, and I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Well, did you see the expert kids?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "They're here every day. So I'm gonna need to start coming here every day now." You know, at first maybe it was just a fun thing to kind of experiment with, and then it became something he felt like, hey, maybe I'm good at this and I'm gonna do it. And then it became a place to go to get away from the madness, frankly. He was exposed to some stuff that most kids don't see. I was just kind of on the eternal buzz. I never got too screwed up, but I never was sober. We've had a lot of open dialogue about addiction in general because of my experience.
We've talked about it. There's a little bit of everything, but drug addiction is not just one thing.
And I'm not proud of this, but Henry he probably knows. I would get the kids ready for school, and I would move into the garage and I would get high.
I just knew, like, he always had people coming over the house that we didn't know, and like we'd go to school smelling like a skunk because he'd smoke in the car and we'd get in.
Henry's mom and I split up, but the drinking and the drug use accelerated. What I didn't realize is how careless I had gotten over the years. I would leave pipes out, you know, and I might like shove it under the couch. They knew what was going on, right? And they kind of actually raised their hand and said, "Hey, Dad's sick. We gotta have change or we don't wanna be here anymore." I met Monica in 2009, and in 2011 I got sober. But I knew I didn't wanna lose my kids, you know, and so they were really the catalyst, if you will, for me getting sober. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Are you hungry? Hungry? Wanna go to the park? We're gonna walk. About dinner.
Don't let them do that to you, Nala.
What do you guys think about purple hair?
Oh, I like it. That's when he was in
It's
the
easy to find
hospital.
the crowd.
And this was when he was screwing around in the car. I was moving due to financial and getting a divorce. It was probably hard on my kids, but Henry still seemed to stay very grounded. But he seemed to always have that connection with third layer, and he was always skating that kept him grounded.
There's been like rocky points and hard points, but like skating is the best. It was my way out.
I think with his dad dealing with addiction a little bit as he was growing up, I think he took that opportunity to actually rise above and use skateboarding as an outlet in his life.
He does have goals, and he is laser focused on it, and it is really cool to watch.
My dad sacrificed a lot for me to be able to travel and realize like that I could do stuff with skating. That was for my dad.
Not only, you know, can we say that we know Henry's very dedicated at what he does, but that his family is dedicated to him. They want him to be happy, and they're willing to do what it takes to help him pursue his dreams. And I think that that's a pretty unique thing that we don't see enough of.
You can go out there in session with him, and you can ask him to try a trick, and he'll try it. He won't ever say can't. He might stick it the first time, or he might just completely crash and burn.
He just knows how to do shit. And like, even if he doesn't, he'll fool himself into thinking he knows how to do it. He'll smack his head and like not think twice about it.
Oh my God.
Especially in those early years, I remember having conversations with his dad quite a bit because like he was really putting his body through some turmoil, you know, slamming over and over and over and getting back up and going back for it, and like not the kind of guy who would, you know, try a trick by like bailing 25 times before he goes for it. Like he's going to commit to the first one and every single one after that, you know, until he lands it.
He almost expects to get fucked up, and like, in some weird way, I think he likes it.
Ian Sherman helped me a lot and like opened my eyes to skating, and he was a big impact. Kind of taught me that like the worst thing that's gonna happen in skating is you're gonna fall. If I was scared to try something, I'd tell him like some crazy trick and he'd go try it and just slam. And he'd get back up, come back over, you're like, see, I'm fine, go try it now. It helped me believe that I could do a lot of stuff now. Like, I love slamming. So I have a good list of injuries, but the worst one was when I ruptured my kidney. And all I was doing was awling over a cone into a bank, clipped the cone, flew to flat, and my elbow jabbed into my side. And as soon as I hit the ground, throw up shot out of my nose. And so like that right there was like, like something's not right. But I called my dad.
I mean, we're veterans with the ER thing. Like, it's a 4-hour experience, which is why he didn't want to go, why I didn't want to go.
And on the way there, the pain just kept getting worse, getting worse.
We got right back there, and we kind of described what was going on. The doctor's like, something's not right. Let's do an MRI. The doctor came back, and he's like, the kidney's ruptured. We need to send him to HCMC. We've got to have a trauma surgeon. Like, they're prepping for him right now. That's the first and only time I've really been like freaked out. And we found out that not only had he ruptured the kidney, but he had torn his ureter, which is essentially the valve that connects your kidney to your bladder.
It was the worst. I mean, I was in the hospital for a week with him. He was really in rough shape. I lost it and I started bawling because I was under so much stress.
That was the one I was afraid of.
Yeah, I mean, he was in ICU.
I was in ICU for a week and a half, 2 weeks, and didn't eat the whole time. Lost like 50 pounds. If you get the chance to do it, do it. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. That hospital right there was the hospital I stayed in for like a week or two when I ruptured my kidney. And ever since then, I dislike being in the vicinity around it. When I had to like relearn how to walk, they walked me by one of those like windows to look at the stadium being built. I was like on a walker.
And I think that's maybe one of the things that I admire most about him is the willingness to fail. To see a skateboarder like try something literally 1,000 times so it can happen once, that's a life skill to me. Like, you can't teach that to somebody, right? It's really cool.
I think he is a pretty competitive person, and he competes with himself as well as other people. If his buddies or some of the team riders, they're going out to this rail, well, Henry's just naturally gonna jump up on it too, you know, and go for it. Skating anything with him, like, I notice he always is pushing himself, so.
You know, I think Henry's got a lot of heart. You know, he definitely, it's great to see that his dedication is paying off, because if you watch him skate today, I think most people would say this kid has a natural talent. But as a guy who's known him since he was a kid, he has worked for everything that he has, which is awesome.
He's not dumb, he's driven. So the fact that he's gonna move out to California and not go to school, we've always known that. He's always said it, I'm gonna move to California, I'm gonna skate.
I want to be doing something that I actually enjoy instead of like slaving away behind a desk. I would really just like to live the dream, and living the dream is being a skateboarder out in California. Oh yeah, bright as fuck. I moved to Los Angeles last September. It's been a little over a year now. It's like a year and a month. It's been good. Just going on a bunch of trips and being able to meet up with people that I wouldn't be able to meet up with in Minnesota. It's a lot easier to do it out here than from the Midwest. I want to keep traveling. I want to travel the world more. I want to buy a nice car. The biggest goal right now is finishing up this part that we've been filming. Filming for Santa Cruz Till the End, Volume 4. There's a couple clips that I'm hyped on for sure.
See your data, see your job is what it made to me. Getting braver, it's mine to slavery. 9 to 5, grind and strive, fucking nigga pay me less. It pay my bills at minimum, but seems to pay me stress. Doing this and doing that, and turn around and scold you true. How I did it wrong when I just did it like you told me to. Fuck you, eat it, that's what I be really thinking. Sir, no sir, that's what I be really speaking. Cause even though this job pissed me off, obviously, what make a nigga piss more is living poverty. Obviously, I gotta work, suck it up and give a smirk, smile, and even though it hurt, and see my boss a fucking jerk. I feel dejected, rejected, sit on my stoop slow. Him is bad at the money jet with the white socks. Instead of slaving for days, just give me 3 shots. Slaving all day, slaving all night. Work slow days and work slow nights. Slaving all day, slaving all night. Work slow days and work slow nights.
Midwest, baby.
Thank you for checking out the video. Hit the subscribe button, leave a like, drop a comment, check out the other videos on the Santa Cruz YouTube, and have a good day, guys.